something hit us.
It was September 2014, and the release of Destiny had came upon us. It was a game that was going to completely change gaming, the way that I saw video games, yet it failed to do that, and it failed to do many more things. People were left scratching their head over this storyline and simply wondering how a game could change so much in such a short time, and why once developed areas were completely inaccessible. And why we found on the disc DLC potentially hidden behind the paywall. It became a game of controversy. Nonetheless, we're going to take a look at how Destiny changed. If you think like-minded like me, the introductory cutscene to Destiny would have had you on your toes, ready to play out whatever story unfolded. The game looked stellar, yet it's just one of few cutscenes in the game. Such few cutscenes completely changed what Destiny was to become. They added in Grimoire cards and totally ruined the storyline. In a statement from Penny Arcade in an article, they would say, "I played Destiny a long time ago. I'm fairly certain I signed a document that said I could not tell you what I had played. Let me see how I can say this. You're not playing what I had played before." And that really sums up what Destiny is. It's not the game that was talked about a few years ago. On an old deleted Reddit post that somebody dug up a screenshot of, completely told us all of what we needed to know about what Destiny once was and what it never became. In the screenshot posted from an earlier thread on Reddit, we get a full synopsis of what the game once was. Seeing as you likely cannot read the screenshot that I have on the screen right now, I will read it instead to you. The poster writes, "The below I posted in a comment to a thread about an alternative story. Now, seeing how most NDAs are invalid once the product has released, I firmly believe I am safe in sharing the Destiny story when I was invited to a user research case study done by Bungie in early 2013. Note, test group equals people in my testing section, and group equals Crow's group." A rundown of how Destiny's story was around early 2013. Crow ends up being introduced earlier on in the story in the place of an Exo Stranger, which is interesting to note. This story revolved around discovering that there was something wrong with the Speaker and the Traveler. As a Guardian, you were abducted by this yet-to-be-named group led by Crow. In the second mission on Earth, you got to a certain point and was swooped down, knocked you out, and brought you to this secret base on Mars. There, you met with some Guardians that abandoned the Traveler, the Speaker, and the Light, so to speak. It was led by Crow, a burly old human, the Exo Stranger, who evidently in this variant of the story was male, but had relatively the same personality, and one or two Guardians who lost their ghosts. It had this predictable plot where the Travelers was the cause of the collapse of the Golden Age because this group found out through their travels that the darkness was a spawn of the Travelers rather than its own rival. Essentially, when the Traveler was brought to Earth, it unleashed the darkness and took over the majority of technology that humanity used, turned it against them, and nearly wiped them all out. As that happened centuries ago, the truth was twisted through the speakers that the Traveler protected Earth in its darkest moments rather than destroying it. They send you to Venus to lure out a gatekeeper and steal its core, which supposedly held an AI that could help bring the truth to light about the Traveler and the Speaker to the citizens of the city. Around this point, I recall going to Mars to retrieve the remains of another powerful AI that the Cabal had repurposed for their own use. Then, at the end of that mission, the test group was sent about 10 hours further in the game, where we assaulted a hive base on the moon. After the group discovered from an AI that the Hellmoth, IRC, it was a different name then, was housing for a super weapon that could retrieve the Travelers from its dormant state, so to wreak havoc on humanity again. That's all I vividly remember from the story. From the sessions, I wanted something different, but it felt like another Halo game. The planet progression was different too. It was Earth, Venus, Mars, and then finally the Moon. Also, the deactivated Spider Walker near the start of the release game is a reference to the Spider Walker in the internal build I played, where the Fallen dropped down a bunch of Shanks, Vandals, Driggs, and a Spider Walker. Luckily, around mission 7, after returning from Venus to grab an old stramp, I could finally defeat the thing. This is the end of the transcript from the original Reddit post. Interestingly, you notice many differences from the game that was released. However, as mentioned, the storyline is fairly predictable, yet it seems much better than the bare bones broken storyline that is currently available in the game. Now, why is this current storyline so bare bones? Well, it comes down to the Grimoire cards only available through either the app or through the website, not built into the game, and people wonder, why are the Grimoire cards not built into the game? Well, let's get down to why the Grimoire cards are not in the game. Even IGN would dig up some research on Destiny's backstory. After the game received lackluster reviews, they posted, adding further to the theory of an alternative story. Back in September 2013, IGN reported that Bungie's lead writer, Joseph Staten, had exited the company. It then goes on to list the statement that Bungie released upon the departure of their head writer. So who took over for acclaimed writer Joseph Staten? Well, we aren't completely sure, but the insertion of the Grimoire cards is our assumed reference to what actually came out of the story. It was posted on Reddit that a person on the Bungie forums claimed to be hired by Bungie to write the Grimoire cards. The statement says, then he talks about the Grimoire cards which contain the story. In the forum of Destiny's Bungie.org, a guy called General Batula says that the Grimoire story was mostly written and edited in one crazy, spinny, very close to launch event. Research on the poster's account would conclude that on February 13th, he posted a thread in which he shared his excitement for being hired as a writer for Bungie in Seattle. This was 7 months before the game's release and the speculated date at which the writing of the Grimoire cards began. Because this is so close to the release of the game, it is likely why the Grimoire cards are not accessible within the game, thus bringing up a giant hole in the storyline. Gamers can do little more than speculate on what Destiny could have been and what Destiny will become once the expansion packs are released, but it seems as of now, the overall majority simply believe the expansion packs are nothing but an attempt to line the developer and the publisher's pockets. Stay tuned to what exactly Destiny becomes and what exactly Destiny is. It'll still be an interesting ride, and I'm excited to see how it ends up. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already.